we're going to look at the color grading tool. So the color grading can be found here in Capture One, and if you scroll down, you basically have two main options for the color grading. The first one is the color editor, and the second one is the color balance. So let's look at the color editor. The color editor has mainly two modes, which are the basic and the advanced, and there is also the skin tone, which is meaningful only for photos with people. So in the basic tab here, you have all the colors here, and what you can do is simply select a color, shift the U towards one side or the other, and you can change the color only in this case of the reds, or you can change the saturation, you can clearly see this, or you can change the lightness, so you can make it darker or brighter. Okay, I'm resetting this. You can do this for all the different colors, so you can shift the oranges toward the yellows, let's say the greens towards the yellows as well, and the red, let's shift it toward the purple. Okay, and you can really alter the look of an image if you use this tool here. The other option that you have is to use the direct color editor. If you click here, you can go in your image, select a color, keep the left button pressed, and now you can move. If you go up, you change the saturation of this color. If you go left, you change the hue, and right, you change it on the other side. And if you press the option key and move left to right, you change the lightness of the image. This is pretty useful because if you look at the color editor now, we have two colors selected, so the orange and the yellow. And this is because when we clicked in our image, Capture One selected not just a simple yellow, but also the color which was around it, and it found that there was not just yellow but also orange there, and so these edits here are applied to the orange as well, although with different numbers because there was less orange than yellow in this part of the image. I can reset this and go back to the original image. Then you also have the advanced tool. The advanced here, you see that we have a wheel and this tool here that I'm clicking. And the idea here is that you pick a color, you see it pictured on the wheel, and what you can do is again change the hue, the saturation, and the lightness, but this is applied to all this spectrum of colors. So look at this, if I'm shifting here, this is applied to all these colors here, and if I narrow it down here, you see that, for instance, the green are left out. Let's move to this side. You see that the greens are basically untouched. Okay, only in this area here, because there is probably some yellowish color. But if I want to apply, for instance, this just to the reds, I can move over here, and you see that, let's say, for instance, that I want to increase the saturation of the reds, I can increase it like so. Let's do it like this, and now only the reds are affected. Okay, and you can clearly see this. You can also stack these edits simply by clicking in another area, change it as you wish, select another area, change it as you wish, and so on and so forth. Okay, and you see that all these colors are stacked here, and you can basically have as much as you want and change them as you like. Resetting this, great. So the other option that you have is through the color balance. Here you mainly have two options, master or the three-way, and the three-way can be done here with all the three wheels, or it can be done independently with the shadows, midtone, and highlights. So if you look at the master works like this. If I'm shifting this towards the green, you see that all the image turns green, and if I'm moving around here and there, the image changes towards the color that I selected. And if you find the right color, let's say this red, but this is too much, you can simply use this slider to reduce the intensity of the edit. Let's go back and let's go, for instance, to shadows. So let's say that these shadows, I want to change them towards the red. If I do this, you see that, for instance, this image here, this part of the image here is not touched, and I'm shifting it towards the other part. Now the colors of the midtones and the highlights are not touched, and instead you can clearly see that the shadows are changed because we shifted those towards bluish or cyan part on this side. And this can be pretty useful when you have mixed lights. You can do the same for midtones and for the highlights. Great. And let's go back to the shadows and bring it back to the cyan. You can also change the intensity of this by using the slider on the right. So basically here you control, on the left part, you control the amount of color that you are putting into your image, so starting from none to full, and here you change the overall let's say threshold to which this color is applied. So this is applied just to shadows, this is applied also towards the midtones, and you can see that the image shifts basically in all its parts. Great. So another example of this can be seen in the second image, where you have this part of the image which is more white and this part of the image which is more yellow. So what you can do is actually have a gradient filter here, and through this gradient filter what you can do is use the color editor, for instance, or the color balance to shift towards the opposite color. And you see that here we are applying this shift, but just this part of the image. So if I'm moving around this, you see that only the right part of the image changes. And when you have some dominance, in this case of yellow, you can go on the other side, and this basically contrasts this yellow tone in the image as well. And now you see that the image is more balanced, because if I'm going to the before and after, you see that now this is more shifted towards the same color, although there is still some yellowish part in the image. You can play with this, but again, you have to be really careful about using it. And you can also do this on the master, although the master is a bit more dangerous because you are changing the whole image, but you can use a combination of both to have the look that you were looking for. And now you see that this is more comparable to the whites. You can work a bit more on this as well to match the colors. And that's it. Thanks a lot for watching.